Good morning. A happy Monday, everybody. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil behind the glass. We are the Insiders. Jiffy Lube sponsors this program. Everybody listening on ESPN 1320 AM on the radio, good morning. Hi, hello. We appreciate you, everyone, watching on YouTube and Twitch and in the chatty house, youtube.com/ESPN 1320, twitch.tv/ESPN 1320. Salute, hello, and we appreciate most of you. What else am I missing? The James Ham and Kyle Madsen Show podcast. If you're a podcast listener, it's this show in podcast form. Subscribe wherever you get your pods, even if you don't plan on listening to it. Just subscribe. That helps us out with the big bosses. The James Ham and Kyle Madsen Show. Again, that's available wherever you get your podcast, and of course the free Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app. Favorite ESPN 1320, and you can listen to the Insiders and D'Lo and KC and a ton of other content live around the world, wherever you are.
There it is.
So the Kings secure the 9 seed. They did it. And we'll get into that. They play the Mavericks here at Golden One Center. What we long suspected would be the outcome of this season. But some news in the NBA this morning. Number one, Mike Budenholzer was fired by the Suns.
Oh, no.
Whoa.
Did not see that coming
Crazy
at all.
that this has happened to the Phoenix Suns. I don't know. I have never been more sure a coach was going to be fired.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like the writing was so on the wall.
What a disaster that season was. And on top of the season being a disaster, because I heard Austin Rivers and Pasha Higigi, who do a podcast together called Off Guard. It's very, very good. Pasha on that podcast said, if you had told me the Suns would be either the 1 seed or the 11 seed before the year, I would have said the 1 seed and not given it a second thought.
Yeah.
And I'm right there. When you add Tyus Jones, you go, okay, you got that many games out of Kevin Durant, that many games out of Bradley Beal, that many games out of Devin Booker. You have Tyus Jones. So they're going to get Nick Richards midseason. Like, oh, man. They got Royce O'Neal, kid from Duke that I can never remember his name. Grayson Allen.
Yeah, Plumlee.
Got one of the Plumleys. Okay. They went to the 1 seed. Cool. They put it all together. No, the 11 seed. So it made sense that Mike Budenholzer's out of there. And I originally wrote, man, the Kings should give him a look. Mike Budenholzer, championship-winning coach. Like, yeah, if you're going to do interviews this offseason, which I think they should, if you're going to interview some coaches this offseason, I think you have to bring in Coach Budenholzer. Like, that's just that's a quality name. But then our guy John Gambadaro from Arizona Sports 98.7 tweeted this, and John Gambadaro has been in Arizona radio for 30 years, super plugged in with the Suns. The Suns specifically. Very, very plugged in. Wrote this on Twitter. Not usually a fire the coach guy, but this guy was a disaster and needed to go. There was no way he could have come back. I do not know of one person in the organization that liked dealing with him. Ego was just too big. Coached like he wanted to be fired. I'm out.
Yeah, that's wild.
I want nothing to do with that person anymore.
And like, look, they gave him a 5-year, $50 million deal. So they're just eating $40 million over the next 4 years. And they gave Frank Vogel like a very similar contract the year before, fired him after 1 year, a 5-year deal. So they will have 3 years of overlap where they are at least paying 2 coaches plus the coach that they have.
Insane.
And that coach may not last 3 years.
Insane. Whatever the Suns are doing, whatever Matt Ishbia is doing, because he has made it very clear, no, he's a very rich person.
Yeah.
And said, I'm going to be a very rich person, and I'm going to dump as much money as I can into this basketball program. It's included firing 2 coaches in 2 years.
Yep.
For Devin Booker, their star player, this will be his 8th coach. I saw this from Shane Young, who covers the NBA for Forbes. This will be his 8th coach in 11 seasons.
That's crazy.
What? What a mess, dude. Kevin Durant's probably going to want out. Does Devin Booker ask out?
Maybe.
Can you afford to keep Devin Booker even if he doesn't ask out?
Can you find some way to get rid of Bradley Beal?
Probably not.
Probably not. They're going to try.
They're definitely going to try.
I mean, I guess Matt Ishbia has like so much money. Like, all right, just stretch provision him.
Yeah, why not?
You owe him $100 million. Just push that out over 5 years, $20 million a year off your salary cap. Okay.
Given the apparent energy drain that he is in the locker room,
Oh yeah.
that would probably be worth it. It's an insane amount of money, but so is the tax bill that you're going to pay. And so is the tax bill you're going to pay compared to the number of games you're liable to win over the next 3 or 4 years. Like, the Suns were a team that when Matt Ishbia came in and was like, I'm going to make these splash moves, I'm going to do everything I can to, I was like, man, like, the Suns might be a problem for a while in the West. They have an owner that wants to win and has a ton of money. And he's just driven the car into a ditch.
Oh yeah.
Like, the Suns are now the opposite of a problem moving forward. They're a disaster.
Yeah, I think the problem is that, again, coaching salaries are not part of the salary cap. So he can just cycle through coaches like this all he wants. Just throw money at it.
Yeah.
I guess that's like a plan. But, it used to be Sacramento is very well known for, you get a 4-year contract, you have to work 2 of them, and then you get fired for the last 2.
Sure.
It's like, when you go to the grocery store and they have like Lay's brand potato chips on sale, where it's like $4.50 for 1 bag. But if you buy 3 bags, it's only $8. You're like, oh, well, I'm getting 3 bags.
I'm losing money if I don't buy 3 bags.
Exactly. Yeah. So the Suns have now taken over. Now you get a 5-year contract and you only have to work 1 year. So you just pay that guy $50 million to coach 1 year, and it like drive you right into a ditch, like you said. Man. I mean, you're the 11th seed in the Western Conference. I mean, you didn't even make the play-in.
Missed the play-in. Couldn't be a top 10 team in the West with that roster. They had the highest tax bill in the league, right?
Oh, I assume so, or it's got to be close. Yeah.
Yuck. What a bad place to be in. Kings not in a great spot. Suns in a much, much worse spot. Elsewhere around the NBA this morning, David Griffin, the lead executive for the New Orleans Pelicans, also used to be a lead executive with the Cleveland Cavaliers, was fired. That is a person that I could see Vivek Ranadive, assuming that the Kings move on from Monty McNair. That's a person, David Griffin, who I could see the Kings having a lot of interest in.
Yeah, I agree. You should have some interest in him. I think he did a really good job with the Cavs. I don't think he's done a particularly great job with the Pelicans.
I think he has.
You think?
I think Zion can't stay healthy. Okay. I think DeJounte Murray got hurt this year and it derailed them. But you look at Herb Jones, you look at Dyson Daniels, who I know they traded, Trey Murphy, Yves Missi is going to be first team All NBA this year. They found
all rookie. First
team. Sorry, all rookie first team. You're right. Sorry,
yeah.
All rookie first team. Although weird draft class, so not as maybe significant as it might be in other years. But they found Jose Alvarado. Like, I think they've actually done kind of a nice job over the last 6 years of accumulating talent.
No, you're right. They also Najee Marshall. They have there.
Najee Marshall.
Yeah, I mean they have You're right. They have found a lot of talent,
and
but
they're
they don't
tall
win.
And athletic.
Long,
I think that,
athletic,
dude. That's it. No, you just that's I like I said, I'm not saying that would be a slam dunk. Like, you have to hire that guy. He needs to be in the building for an interview.
No, I'm with you. Now that you kind of laid out like the talent, I mean, they haven't reached whatever level they were supposed to reach, but I also think it's one of those weird situations where they've decided to allow the next general manager to make the decision on Willie Green, the head coach. I don't get that at all, because like typically in these situations, Willie Green would be part of the interview process. Like if you're a coach that's there, it'd be like, so what are you going to do? Hey, Willie, we got an interview coming in. I want you to shut the door. You're not allowed to come out. Like,
very odd.
What are you doing here?
Situation.
And then see if they want to work with you or not. I mean, that's just like, hey, we're going to offer you a job, but on your first day, we're going to need you to make a decision on whether you're going to fire Bob over there or not.
Right. Like do you think Willie Green's a good coach or not? That's the end. If he is, then you're hiring a GM and going, yeah, hey, this is the coach. And you're hiring, like you just said, that GM around. Do he and the coach kind of see basketball the same? I don't understand that at all. If you're on the fence on Willie Green, then yeah, just get him out of there.
Well, then if you're firing the GM, just go ahead and take care of business. I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
Now,
Just clean house.
why is that different than the Sacramento situation? Well, first up, Doug Christie led you at least to the play-in.
Yeah.
So he's also like a franchise legend. I mean, Willie Green is not really a franchise legend in New Orleans.
I wouldn't say so, no.
No. So I don't know. This is a weird situation, but there's a lot of them like in today's NBA. And I don't know how this situation or the King situation will end up in the end.
Willie Green went 36-46 in his first year. And they made the playoffs? That's a weird thing. So they made the playoffs.
Okay.
Got ousted in 6 games. They go 42-40 the next year. Then they went 49-33 last year and, of course, got swept in the first round. And then this year, the wheels came off and they went 21-61 because everybody got hurt. To me, I'm moving forward with that guy, but that's neither here nor there.
You're okay with Willie Green as your head coach?
I'm fine with Willie Green as my head coach.
I just don't know that you can take the next step.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you're going to fire that guy, then just fire him now. When you get rid of the GM, just get rid of the head coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really weird situation.
Very, very strange.
And we're not done. I mean, I think that there's going to be a bunch more head coaches that are fired. And we've already seen 2 head coaches fired, like leading up to this.
Yeah.
And then you can add in Mike Brown earlier in the season.
Yeah.
So there's 3 interim head coaches right now that are still coaching going into the postseason. With whether it's play-in or playoffs.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like 2 jobs or at least 1 job just opened. But I think, Nick Nurse is a guy that I think people around the league are thinking probably won't be back. And there are multiple other teams that are looking at getting rid of their coaches too. We don't know what's going to happen with Popovich. It's going to be an interesting summer for coaching changes.
Yeah. Chauncey Billups in Portland. Do they keep rolling forward with him?
He got an extension.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. That I missed. Shout out. Good. That's the right thing to do. They're moving in, whether you think they're moving in a positive direction fast enough or whatever is a different story, but they are moving. The Portland Trailblazers are very clearly moving in a direction. They played hard down the stretch this year and probably won more games than they wanted to win.
No, very true.
So
yeah.
I think if you have a guy like that who's establishing that culture, you don't fire him because hey, you won too many games. That's silly to me. Shout out to Portland for sticking with the lane.
Yeah.
Love that for them.
And I also think, when you're building a young nucleus, right, you want to give them stability. There will come a point where you're going to have to make a decision on whether Chauncey Billups is a good enough coach to get you to the second round or the third round of the playoffs, right? But we're so far away from that. What you need right now for all of these young players that they have is stability to build something. Now, with Willie Green, that's where I'm kind of like, hey, you've had your 4 years here, whatever it is, and your team isn't super young anymore. Again, Portland is much younger than the Pelicans.
For sure.
So, like, where are you going with this build?
Yeah.
So,
and that's where I say if you're out on Willie Green, or like you said, not going to take the next step. Like maybe if they're healthy next year, he can get them into that 49-50 win range. But are you winning a title with them? If you think your roster is there and the coach just isn't, okay, cool. But then get rid of him now. Just hang on to him.
Yeah.
Weird situation.
Totally bizarre.
Sunday was incredible. There was basketball all day. We had baseball on all day. We had the Masters going on. Salute to Rory McIlroy for closing out the Masters for his first green jacket. He gets a career Grand Slam. I got to tell you, in golf, I'm not going to break down golf here, but I just want to talk about like the mental side of sports. One of the things that separates good golfers from bad ones at the level that these guys play is not like who's hitting the best shots, because they all hit shots into the trees, right? And they're all good at scrambling. They're all good at getting out. It's, can you bounce back when you start your day with a quadruple bogey and you start the day up, whatever it was, 3 strokes, and after 2 holes, you're down a stroke, and then after 4 holes, you're back up. Like, managing that emotion and being able to stand over the ball and continue playing good golf.
Yep.
And then double bogeying. I think I said quadruple bogeying. I meant double. Double bogeying 13. And losing this comfortable lead that it's like you were coasting. Double bogeying 13. and being able to get back on the horse and play good enough golf to win, and then smoking that putt on 18 to send it to a playoff, and then winning in the play. Bro, the mental fortitude from Rory McIlroy yesterday was a feat. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, he put himself through the ringer. So
right. There are so many points where it's like, oh, he's done. He's collapsing. Like Jordan Spieth did that at the Masters. Had the was it 2015? Whatever it was. And he dunked the 2 in the water. We've not heard from Jordan Spieth since.
Yeah.
He was the dude. Like 23 years old or whatever he was. And then just collapsed.
Yeah, David Duval, was a great golfer and then was not a great golfer.
Yep.
Like gone.
Yep. I was certain. I was like, we're watching this happen to Rory right now. We might never hear from Rory again. And then he wins the Masters. What a guy. Incredible day.
Yeah.
Kings won yesterday. They secured their spot in the play-in at Golden One Center against the Dallas Mavericks. We'll dive into that matchup. The Golden State Warriors epic game against the Los Angeles Clippers, but Golden State also in the play-in. I told everybody a couple months ago, just buckle up. We got Warriors Kings Part 2 coming. Part 3, sorry. Part 3, season on the line. It's what we got, guys. Everyone get ready for it. But we'll talk about that game and what's ahead in the play-in starting tomorrow. That's James Ham. That's Joe Brazil. I'm Kyle Madsen. Jiffy Lube sponsors this program. And this is ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Center. I got it, Joe. Just pop me up. Yo, the NBA playoffs is like the best time to sign up for Underdog because there's a ton of games. And like I said, you start to watch a series and you start to get into patterns and you start to really see like, okay, I'm going to make a lineup that I feel great about tonight because you know who's playing, you know what the matchups look like. And it makes Underdog's daily fantasy that much more fun. But check out what they're doing for the playoffs. They're doing these bonus tokens. So you get a game 1 boost, a profit boost token of 40%. They continue boosting each subsequent game as long as you use that 40% profit boost token. Game 2, you get a 50% profit boost token.
Oh.
Game 3, 60%, all the way up to 100% profit boost token if the series goes to 7 games. So that's like doubling your money if you win with your lineup. So now's the time to jump in on Underdog. Their daily fantasy pick'em game is super easy. You pick higher or lower on at least 2 player stats. And then you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. Their app has over 100,000 5-star reviews, millions of players. I'm one of them, and you should join me. Download the Underdog app and sign up now with promo code KYLEM. That's KYLEM to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code KYLEM, KYLEM. Must be 18 plus and present in any state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/extend.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Thanks, Joe. I got the bubble. Unless you already got it, but hit it twice. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a mess.
Well, yeah, but Leezy, James Harden is a Hall of Famer. Look at his Nets exit, his Rockets exit, his Philadelphia 76ers exit. Like, I mean, LeBron James is a Hall of Famer, but look at his first Cavs exit, his second Cavs exit.
Yeah, I did an interesting choice. But it's a lot of like rules and contest regulations and stuff that Underdog's doing with this profit boost token. And so you can't just like define it into a succinct little read. So there's just, I think you could probably get a shortened link though. I don't, just wild. But yeah, KD, I don't think his, sorry, Joe, go ahead.
I had nothing important to say, I promise.
Neither do I.
Okay.
I'm
I
still
was
talking.
going to say they could shorten the link with like a bit.ly.
Yeah, right. It
There
seems
you
like
go.
the move. I'll email them and let them know. I don't think Kevin Durant's I don't even know what to call it. His exits, as you lay out here. I don't think those are going to matter to anyone in like 10 years.
No, I don't think so either.
Hi, Rest Dog.
I mean, like very rarely do you remember all of the places somebody played.
Yeah, and with KD, I think it was just like he was so good that seeing this player who was so good leave and go to the Nets and have it not work, and then he goes to Phoenix and have it not work.
If I asked you, can you name all the teams that Tracy McGrady played for? Could you do it?
Ooh, Raptors, Magic, Spurs, Rockets.
Not Spurs.
He
Rockets.
didn't play for the Spurs? T-Mac?
Not that I see.
Who am I thinking of that played for the Spurs at the end of their career?
Dominique.
No. Huh.
Raptors, Magic, Rockets.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
You know better than to sidetrack me. I have this memory of Tracy McGrady playing for the Spurs. It's not a thing that happened. You were absolutely correct.
Well, hang on.
But somebody played.
No, he did. He played for the Spurs in the playoffs.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Right. Because he got in and he went to the second round with the Spurs.
Yes. But
and it was like a big deal that Tracy McGrady.
He never played a regular season game for the Spurs.
Yes. Okay. Huh. Whew.
Okay, so
that was really gonna bother me.
Crisis averted.
That was going to be my double bogey on 13.
Okay, so here's the crazy. He played Tracy McGrady played for the Raptors, the Magic, the Rockets, the Knicks. He played 72 games in the 2010-11 season for the Detroit Pistons. And then he finished with the Atlanta Hawks. And then he didn't play. He played in another pro league during the 12-13 season, but he played for the Spurs in the playoffs.
So if I'm remembering correctly, yes. Okay, this is what I was remembering. He checked in garbage time of 2 blowouts in that series. And it was like this big thing because, oh, look, Tracy McGrady is playing in the finals.
Oh.
For the first time in his career. That's what I very vividly remembered. And if that didn't happen, I was going to lose my mind.
He did.
Oh, God, thank God.
Yeah, he played a couple of games here and there. I mean, he played like a total of, I don't know, 10, 17, 25, 32 minutes in the whole playoff run. Yeah. Intriguing. I don't know. Like, how did we get on that?
T-Mac.
Oh, because someone was asking about Kevin Durant. Will you think about Kevin Durant differently?
No. Carmelo Anthony, same deal. Played for a bunch of teams.
Yeah. I mean, people forget Patrick Ewing played for the Seattle Supersonics.
Yeah, and the Magic.
Hakeem Olajuwon played for the Toronto Raptors. Yeah.
The only reason I remember that is because people bring it up constantly on the internet. Like when a veteran signs somewhere random and there's a photo of Hakeem in a Raptors jersey playing against Patrick Ewing in a Magic jersey. And it just looks
weird.
It looks very odd. And they both look so old.
You know, Pat's still around the game. I think he came through with, was it the Knicks? Is either the Knicks or Charlotte? One of the two. It's possible he's on the Knicks coaching staff. He's just not nearly as tall as he was when he was a player.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He is not. He is one player that has like,
shrunk.
Yeah, definitely.
Now he's only like 6'10".
Yeah, I would say like 6'8", 6'9", maybe
Wow.
6'10", but you know.
When Patrick Ewing played for the Orlando Magic, he was a year younger than LeBron James is right now.
Oh. Mm.
When he was averaging 6 points and 4 boards for the Magic. Anyways, aging, am I right?
Yeah.
So the Kings finally took care of business yesterday. They beat the Phoenix Suns. Even if they hadn't, though, Dallas lost handily to the Memphis Grizzlies. So the Kings were going to be hosting the play-in either way. We knew it was a long shot that they would go on the road for the play-in, but now we know for sure they've secured the 9 seed. They'll face the Dallas Mavericks at Golden One Center. Real quick on yesterday's game, did that feel like the California Classic to anyone else by the second half? It was like Zach LaVine hit all those threes to pull away. Suns pulled their starters, quote unquote. Doug emptied the bench for the Kings, and then it was just it's a lot of Isaac Jones.
You know what? We got to the end of it. We were talking about it this morning, and like it's almost like it never really dawned on me who the Kings played yesterday. Like, because none of their starters were there.
Nameless, faceless team.
Yeah, I mean and Doug Christie talks about the nameless, faceless team, that the Kings' real opponent is themselves, right? And that's what they have to figure out, what their identity is. But if you told me that, like, I covered Mike Budenholzer's last game as a head coach of the Phoenix Suns, I would have been like, really? I did? That never even dawned on me. This morning when he gets fired, it's like, oh, he got fired after he left Sacramento. Okay. Just weird, because that game did not feel like an NBA game at all.
It was such a because the Kings were ostensibly playing for something, sort of.
Yeah.
But I think it's partly because I had a very strong inkling Dallas wasn't going to win. And so if you know Dallas is going to lose, it's like, this game doesn't really matter. But then, like, it's close, and it's a 3-point game at halftime, and it's like, is this bad? Should I be killing the Kings for this? Or do they understand what we all understand, and that this game doesn't it doesn't really matter, because you can look at the scoreboard up in the corner of the arena and you go, oh, the Mavs are down 40. All right, well, like, I think just a very, very strange vibe. I took nothing away from that yesterday.
No.
Zach LaVine's good at putting the ball in the basket. Like, yeah, we know. I learned nothing about the Kings yesterday. I don't care that it was close at halftime. They were taking yesterday off.
The only thing I took from it was that Jonas Valanciunas can dunk with flair. I did not expect him to dunk with the hand behind his head and throw it down.
So silly.
Like, spectacular. And for him to put up 20 and 10, you're like, okay.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, it was at least fun. I don't know. We had the blimp situation. Did you catch that?
No.
So, they send around a blimp. It's a small, it's probably like 6 or 8 feet long.
Yeah.
And it drops stuff down to the crowd, right? Well, it goes and it drops like 3 or 4, like, I don't even know what they're giving away.
Chick-fil-A cows?
Well, but they weren't doing Chick-fil-A. It was something else they were giving away.
Okay.
So it's in the lower bowl during a timeout. And then all of a sudden it veers up and goes upstairs. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think it could go up. I didn't know that it could fit and like start dropping stuff. Well, then it careens into the crowd, starts, like, people are like shoving it, like, oh my gosh, the blimp is hitting people, which it didn't look like it was going to hurt anybody. But then it gets shoved off the second deck, and then it starts to fall, and it like falls right in front of us, and it's in it like a death spiral on its way down. They can't get it to like pull up in time, and it hits people on the lower deck who are waiting for like a coupon to drop down. So it goes down, and then all of a sudden people are trying to grab it. They're trying to like figure it out. And then I think the guy who's running the remote control, he comes down to try to reset it. Lets go of it. Bye-bye. Floats right to the ceiling. All the way up to the ceiling. And then it's stuck in the ceiling in the middle of the game. So we had this like ridiculous moment with a giant like in arena blimp type hover device.
That's perfect.
It was actually
That's just such a perfect Kings thing to happen.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I hope the blimp doesn't go away. I hope that wasn't it for the blimp.
They should have brought back. Is it Phantom View? The
Fan view?
Fan view? Or
Fan cam? Fan cam.
fan cam. They should
Fan
have brought
cam.
that back for yesterday too.
1000%. Why
It
not?
would have been like
Game
a perfect.
doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how the play-in games don't exist?
Yeah.
That's this game too.
There we go.
It's just
Well, they did.
Sure,
I
man.
told you the one time they did the kicks cam,
mhm.
and I'm like, why are you doing that? Like I literally tweeted out like, hey, why would you have a kicks cam which just shows everybody in the building and everywhere else that no one is sitting in the seat in front of anyone,
Right.
which means the building is half empty. So people are putting their shoes up on the
Right.
seat in front of them, like, oh, the kicks cam. It's like, okay, like
not
what-
a good idea.
not a great idea.
This is an own goal.
Yeah.
Is what we call that. I would like a vibe check on the Kings. 916-909-1320. 916-909-1320. That's the Elk Grove Kia Talk on. And of course, if you're in the chatty house, I would love to hear from you there. What's the vibe? And Joe, you can jump in on this too. Is it excitement? Is it hopeful? Is it like, like whatever? Is it what's the vibe for you right now, Joe?
Yeah. I mean, especially in my friend group too. Generally,
What are the young people saying?
Okay, I got you. Yeah. So, I
The
mean, we're
kids.
excited.
What are the
Don't get me
kids saying?
wrong. Like, we want to win. I want a
course.
play-in game. Especially for younger fans like us, we don't get to experience things like this.
Sure.
So even though it is the play-in, we're still excited. I was talking about going to the game on Wednesday with my buddies and whatnot.
As you should.
And I still have optimism. You know, I really liked what you guys said about how this team is kind of, or I believe it was Kenny, and you guys were quoting Kenny, how this team is kind of built for that slow, grindy.
Mhm.
So I have optimism for this team. Normally I have optimism for a lot of things.
No doubt.
But as far as I'm concerned, man, I'm just excited. We're gonna get to keep playing basketball.
Sure.
And then we're gonna go from there. So I'd say the vibes are a little bit above neutral. They're trending upwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Above neutral and trending up.
Upwards. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what the young people are saying.
There you go.
Okay. This is how I would describe them, or at least the way that I look at the people that are around the team and everything.
The vibes are the young people.
The vibes.
Got it.
Okay. The vibes are this. Everyone just kind of expects the Kings to thump the Mavericks. Now, that may or may not happen, but that's kind of the expectation, that it's like, got a tune-up game coming on Wednesday, and then the real game will happen on Friday against whatever opponent that
Sure.
is, whether it's the Warriors or the Memphis Grizzlies.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's kind of like if they lose on Wednesday, it would be a continuation of the same exact season of yo-yo, like can't put a finger on who this team is, and it just made perfect sense. But if they win on Wednesday, you're like, okay, one game to prove that the other 82 weren't a fluke,
Sure.
or that you are who we thought you are.
They've been playing in, like I said, I'm throwing yesterday out.
Yeah.
They've been playing pretty well though the last 5 games. And if they put that together, then yeah, to me, this Mavs game is sort of that. If they're playing well, they're not going to lose to the Dallas Mavericks. The problem is,
Oh no, I start getting really scared when we start talking like this.
right? But the problem is okay, if they play well, but do we have any evidence, any reason to believe like, yes, they are for sure going to go in and play well?
No.
Well, I mean, you said they played really well in the last 5 games, and they're 3-2.
No doubt. But I thought they played. I thought they played pretty well against Denver.
Mhm.
There were some moments in that game that weren't great, but overall, I didn't think they played poorly against Denver.
Yeah.
And then the Clippers game was there for the taking as well. I
Yeah,
thought
you
they
lose
played.
by 1.
The Clippers did nothing to dispel my thought that they're right below a tier 2 team in the West.
Yeah.
Just below OKC. They did nothing to dispel that for me yesterday. And they did nothing to dispel that in the Kings game. I thought the Kings just played well.
Mhm.
It's just the Clippers are hard to score on sometimes, and I think the Kings ran into that. So I don't if they continue doing all the things we constantly talk about when they play well. Ball movement, it's that hounding defense where they're getting hands in passing lanes and they're generating turnovers and they're taking care of the basketball. Like when they do all those little things, it's like, man, this is a really good team. Zach LaVine leading the way, pick and roll with Domantas Sabonis or dribble handoff game with Domantas Sabonis. It's a little bit of DeMar DeRozan here and there. It's Keon Ellis knocking down a three. It's Trey Lyles grabbing a big rebound. It's Keegan Murray getting a big defensive stop. It's like, all right, I see the vision. But like, who's to say DeMar DeRozan doesn't bog everything down tomorrow and put up 30 shots and shoot the Kings out of it, or on Wednesday?
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know how to put there is no finger on the pulse with this team.
Nope.
At all. Like, and if someone thinks that they know what's going to happen, you're sorely mistaken, because they will prove to you that whatever you thought was going to happen is not what's going to happen.
Right.
So I wouldn't be shocked if the Kings blew out the Mavericks on Wednesday. I think they're a better team.
I'm with you.
I also wouldn't be shocked if the Kings lose by 25. I just wouldn't. Like, this team, the way that they're playing, like one night they're great, another night they're like, you can see what's going to happen though. Like early on, there is no like, oh look, they figured it out and now they're way better than they were.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think they're going to lose by 25 because I don't think this version of Dallas is capable of beating anybody by 25.
Okay.
Or excuse, I shouldn't say anybody. Not capable of beating the Kings by 25. But that's semantics. The Kings losing this game where they just never really have control of it.
Yeah.
Is very much on the table. I just don't think Dallas is has enough healthy pieces to blow a team out by 25.
No, I get that, but that Anthony Davis can go nuts. Klay Thompson can hit a bunch of threes, although he hasn't been that great, for a while. But PJ Tucker, PJ Washington, like he can bust you up, like
no doubt.
And I think the other interesting thing that we haven't even Malik Monk will not play in this game.
Yeah.
And Jake LaRavia will not play in this game. Like he won't be there either. Yeah. So we don't even really consider what the Kings. We've gotten so used to Malik Monk not being here over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that it's almost like a afterthought that Malik isn't going to be there, and how much that usually changes for the Kings.
Well, right, but you and I talked about this a little bit last week, and then I was talking about it with Jake Aiden yesterday on CBS 13, and
yeah,
okay, we're just
humble brag.
But no, I was talking to Jake yesterday, and talking about how the DeMar DeRozan move was the insulation from a Malik Monk injury.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, you and I are on the same page that, man, if Malik doesn't get hurt, they probably go to the playoffs. Like they're probably the 6th seed, and they're in the playoffs, right? So when they signed DeRozan or they traded for DeRozan, you're going, man, now if Malik goes down, you have that additional shot maker, that additional creator, that additional scorer.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is he's been a singular force offensively. So all of that is to say, you lose Malik Monk and that stinks. You'd rather have him than not have him. But I think this Kings team in particular is equipped to withstand that loss.
Yeah.
And if you need Malik Monk's energy in a one and done play-in game, you got a different problem.
No, but you probably need Malik Monk's talent. I mean, and especially in the second of those one and dones. If you do get to the second one, that's where, every bit of talent you can throw out on the court is a good thing.
Yeah, maybe. All right. We'll keep talking about this. We've got a couple days to break down this Kings and Mavs matchup. We'll take a look at an incredible game at Chase Center yesterday between the Warriors and the Clippers. We'll take a look at the East playing games, the West playing games. Very different vibe in the East and West. We'll talk about that as well. James Ham, I'm Kyle Madsen. That is Joe Brazil. Jiffy Lube sponsors this program. We're the insiders, and this is ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader.
I see a lot of talk about LaRavia's just cut the thumb off deal. And I know people are just being funny. It's a really, really interesting injury. It's all the way up here that he fractured the bone that's it's where the thumb attaches to like, there's a bunch of little tiny bones right at the edge of the wrist. And it's one of those bones that he broke. And that's tough.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah. Matt Morris, I don't think that they're going to trade Jaren Jackson. And in fact, they're probably going to look to give him his max money extension this summer, which is why they started clearing out other money. He would make a ton of sense if Jaren Jackson Jr. would be a perfect fit.
That's like a dream acquisition. I feel like I've always been pretty high on him. It would be really good to have him.
Triple J?
Yeah.
I'm not high on him, but
I've always loved him.
And that's what the young people are saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want someone who's going to be physical down in the paint. You know what I mean? Like, I need a shot blocker. That's all I want. So I've been a fan of him for a while. I guess that's not the popular opinion.
I'm out on Jaren Jackson. I was in on Jaren Jackson in his draft class. I love Jaren Jackson coming out of the draft. I don't like who Jaren Jackson has become.
Yeah, I don't agree that he's one of the great defenders in the game. He's a good shot blocker, but I don't think he's a great defender. Maybe I'm crazy, but when I watch him play, I'm not super intrigued. I think his 3-point shot is totally unrefined. Sometimes it goes in, sometimes it doesn't. And then he just doesn't look like he cares for his body the right way. Like he just kind of drags his body around the court, and I'm not a super big fan. It wasn't the hamate bone that he broke.
Yeah, the hamate's down here, right?
Yeah, that's right here. That's this bone where the knob of the bat goes. No, it's more inside. It's where the thumb connects, like right in here.
Seems like, yeah, most people are out on him. I had him on my fantasy team for a long time, and he was really good. But I guess clearly that might be, it seems as if people believe he was stat padding. I do remember that a little bit. But I don't know. I always thought he was pretty good.
I mean, like,
You're the best.
I watch my words. Triple J may shut down Keegan on Wednesday. Like, Keegan's the Kings' like 5th leading scorer.
If anybody shuts down Keegan, it's going to be Keegan.
Yeah. It'll be his teammates, his own teammates. No one makes me bleed my own blood.
I was literally just looking at that.
The what?
Yeah. Joe, I'm gonna write an email about this. I will CC you on it. No, it's fine. Hang on, Joe. I'm just gonna talk to James for a second. All right, we're back.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James is over there. I'm Kyle. That's Joe. If you're watching on YouTube and Twitch, where when the radio goes to breaks, we just kind of hang out. if you're watching on YouTube and Twitch, not breaking news that was happening, very, very like not even going to peel the curtain back because it would bore you to tears radio stuff.
Yeah.
That we were dealing with. So nothing crazy, nothing happening. That's one of the, I don't want to say pitfalls, but that's one of the dangers of doing a show and being friends with James is like when the mics go off, there could be real stuff. When you look at your phone mid-show and then you start texting, I'm like, what do you got, dog?
Uh-oh.
And sometimes you're like, oh, it's my wife. Or, oh, my kid forgot his.
Yeah, I can't quite
lunch.
See from over here. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
No,
you got it.
I
No.
can't. No, I
You got
don't know what's
nothing?
going. Not
Nah.
really. No.
Nah. All right.
No.
What are you gonna do? You know. Did you get to catch any of the Warriors Clippers game yesterday?
No.
Here's a first thing. Jonathan Kuminga played 0 minutes.
Yeah, it's wild.
Fascinating. For a team that needs shot creation, insane that he didn't play. But anyways, we'll talk Golden State if and when they play the Kings in the play-in. The Clippers are a damn problem, bro. I don't think enough people are realizing this.
I think
I don't think
I agree.
because I get it. I get why if you hear Clippers, you'd be out on them.
Mm-hmm.
I fully understand. You look at Kawhi Leonard's injury history, you look at James Harden's history in the postseason, and you're just kind of like, don't love it.
Mm-hmm.
James Harden is playing outstanding basketball right now and doesn't have to shoulder as much of the load as he used to through these 82-game seasons where he'd gas out in the playoffs. And frankly, the Warriors used to say this all the time. The James Harden Rockets were easy to defend because you knew exactly what they were going to do. James Harden was just such a force of nature that he was going to get his 30 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was just a thing that was going to happen, but you knew exactly what they wanted to do. They don't have that same hang up with the Clippers because now you have this cyborg basketball computer, Kawhi Leonard, who's still a really good defender, maybe not the elite defender that he was, but still an outstanding defender who can get to his spot whenever he wants and can hit any shot on the floor whenever he wants. You can't leave him open from three. It's really hard to contest him in the mid-range because it's such just a big, wide body. We see DeMar DeRozan do that in the mid-range where he just is so good at creating space and getting his shot off. That's Kawhi. And now they have that 1-2 punch with him and James Harden with Derek Jones, with Chris Dunn at the point, causing havoc defensively. Bogdan Bogdanovic coming off the bench. Ivica Zubac looks like an all-NBA guy this year.
Mm-hmm.
They just, all of the pieces make sense. And then you watch them play, you're like, dude, they had, it was probably 15 straight possessions yesterday where it was just easy, just finding easy buckets. And then defensively, they're so good. Love them. Really good team.
Yeah, like when I look at, it's funny when you're talking about Kawhi.
Mm-hmm.
When I watch him play, he does some of the same things that I've seen from DeMar DeRozan, except for he doesn't get to the foul line nearly as much because he's not doing the pump fake thing. But what he is now is he gets wherever he wants on the floor.
Yep.
And then he hits just a laser, and he hits it almost every time, it feels like.
I don't understand the physics because it's like he throws a line drive that's below the rim, but it goes in.
Yeah, it's a really, really strange jumper, but it's so refined. And again, like DeMar, like for the most part, it goes in all the time. Like he's shooting 49.8% from the field and 41.1% from three. The difference that I have with the two, number one, DeMar plays every game. For the most part. I mean, DeMar played 75 games, whatever it is this season. But also that Kawhi Leonard plays defense. And not only does he play defense, but he is your defensive leader on the court when he's there. And that's the biggest difference. They're both, one's 33, one's 35. They're both like in the twilight of their careers. But if you can get a healthy Kawhi Leonard through the playoffs, and maybe that's why he only played, what is it, 37 games this year, whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
Yeah, it is 37. If you can get him healthy all the way through, and then you start mixing in Derek Jones Jr. hitting three like at a super high clip, Norman Powell becoming like
Powell. I didn't even mention Norman Powell.
Like an exceptional like version of himself that I did not think he would ever get to. I mean, like him going to the hoop is like Desmond Bane going to the hoop.
Yeah.
Like he just sheds tacklers the whole way. So I think he's been great. And then Zubats, again, Zubats has become, like, advanced statistics wise, one of the best big men in the league. And so just really, really interesting stuff. We do have some weird breaking news. I want to bring it up though, really quick. According to Shams Charania, Hall of Famer Joe Dumars, former Kings legend,
Nice.
is a serious front runner to become the lead basketball executive with the New Orleans Pelicans. Sources tell ESPN. The 2003 Executive of the Year and 2004 championship exec with the Pistons is a Louisiana native. Dumars is currently heading up the NBA basketball ops. I bring this up because I got to be honest. I heard Joe Dumars mentioned with the Sacramento Kings this weekend again, which
I'm sorry.
like as a potential front office person for the Sacramento Kings. And so does
like an advisor, or to be in an advisor role, or in the Monty McNair out Joe Dumars in role.
Like who knows, because I keep hearing different names thrown in.
Cool.
You know, first we've heard
Cool.
Scott Perry, we've heard Vlade Divac, we've heard, you know, Peja's hanging around the team
Right.
more all of a sudden again. But Joe Dumars' name came out of left field, and it looks like as of right now that there's a possibility that they're finalizing a deal. According to Shams, the Pelicans and Dumars are expected to engage in conversations to finalize a deal by the end of the week. So that was a potential, you know, weird, because the dynamic when Joe Dumars was here was always strange. They had like this weird triangle where Vivek was at the top of the triangle, and then Joe Dumars was on one side, and then Vlade Monty McNair and his people were on the other side. So anything that Monty and his people wanted to do would go to Vivek, and Vivek would then go counsel with Joe Dumars. So there was this weird triangle, except for the bottom, like, crossbar of the triangle never
It was more like
communicated.
Like an upside down V.
Yeah, exactly. So something like that.
Huh.
Yeah. So and there was a lot of talk that Joe Dumars would take over the team, and be the GM of the team, but that never came to fruition. So, yeah, interesting stuff.
At some point, we are going to learn, and by we I mean Kings ownership is going to learn that circling back is not going to be the thing that helps. Going backwards and being like, it'll work this time, that's not going to be a thing. I say that because Vladdy's been around. We now hear Joe Dumars. I don't want anything to do with any of that. I don't want Michael Malone back. I want it. Nope. Circling back and retrying all this stuff is not the move. I need that to not happen.
Yeah, it's just odd.
Shout out to the Pelicans for saving the Kings from themselves.
Yeah. He was with the Kings from 2019 to 2022. Joe Dumars was. So I think that's
so he left the year the Beam team happened. 22, 23.
Yeah, I guess so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, got to get that guy back.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, the weird thing is he was a chief strategy officer for the Kings. He joined in June of 2019 to become a special advisor to the general manager, and also an interim executive vice president of basketball ops. We never spoke to Joe Dumars once. Media did not. Like, to say, like, hey, hi, Joe. We said that. But outside of that, never once did he speak to the media.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so nuts.
And now it looks like he's going to the Pelicans,
where he will likely have to speak to the media.
Yeah, there's been a lot of, like, little rumors here and there about who might come in, who might not, whether Monty McNair will be back or whether he won't.
It sounds like people are operating like McNair's gone.
Well, it's either McNair's gone or there's a partner for McNair, because when you lose Wes Wilcox, you're going to need somebody who is that guy to this team. The guy who makes the phone calls, the guy who does all of that. Yeah.
That's for the general manager to do.
It's definitely a different situation than I've seen before.
Yeah. Do you want to know why?
Yeah.
Because it's insane.
Well,
here's our general manager. He doesn't do anything. talk to this other guy. Like, I'm sorry.
One man's insanity is another man's Monday, Kyle.
No, one man's insanity is another man's 40-42 record.
That's right.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard, just real quick to put a bow on this conversation. Since March 7th. So he came back in January. But since March 7th, when he's in the lineup, the Clippers are 15-2, and he's averaging 25.5 points, 7 boards, 3.5 assists, 2 steals, half a block, and he's shooting 52.8% from the field, 44.6% from 3, and 83.1 from the line.
Yeah, he's good.
Just a cyborg, dude. The
And
Clippers are dangerous.
and a plus defender.
And a very, very good defender.
Yes.
Clippers are scary. That was the point of my conversation.
They are scary. They might jump up some of the ranks.
I think
Although they just beat the Kings by 1.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Beat
saying.
the Kings by 1. Needed overtime yesterday to beat Golden State.
Yeah.
All right. Second hour coming up. We've talked a lot about the tiers in the West. I want to take a look at the East because the Eastern Conference playoffs, I think can get a little interesting, but it feels strange, and I'll tell you why coming up. Plus, we got NFL draft coming up in like a week and a half. We just got to start diving into that as well. James Ham, Kyle Madsen, Joe Brazil's here. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's the Insiders on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Center.
I'll be right back.
All right. Oof. Yeah, we can. I think that is more a conversation for if they lose to Memphis and they play the Kings. But yeah, man, that's just, I don't like Steph starts to heat up and you have nothing to get him a look. But he was also bad yesterday. Was he 8 turnovers? He's like minus 15 or 16 or something crazy. It was not good. So this is interesting because I get it. Like that's a play they ran for Clay all the time. And the problem is one, if you go the Clippers were not letting Steph get the ball, right? And if the Warriors caught an inbound pass, they were going to get fouled because it was a 3-point game. And so they needed a play that was just going to be like catch and get a shot up. And so they run that play. And honestly, like if you look at their roster, I don't know if there's a different player I want taking that shot because Steph's not going to get free the same way, right? So it's just, it's where they're at. It's why they're in the play-in. That's just kind of their options. They don't have a lot of guys who can make shots. Yes. This dude's wild. Yeah, GP2 had a really good little offensive stretch there for a while, but man, he's an okay defender, but he's not this like lockdown. Like in 2022, he was unbelievable, but he's just not. He has not been that impactful, bro. Just trying to draw contact, like bro, just go up with. Ugh. So frustrating. Hour number 2. That's James Hammer. It will be. I'm Kyle Madsen. That's Joe Brazil. Jiffy Lube sponsors the program. We're taking you up to noon. Then we'll hand it off to D-Lo and KC. And those guys will take you to 4 o'clock right here on ESPN 1320. That is Sacramento Sports Leader. Yeah, Warriors didn't look very good in overtime yesterday. I got nothing.
I think what I did see of the game, like allowing Buddy Hield to take big shots is never a great idea.
So we just talked about that at the break, and let's actually discuss this for a second. Who else would you rather have? Let's remember now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 3-point game with 6 seconds left or whatever. The Clippers aren't letting Steph Curry touch the ball.
Nope.
You have Draymond Green on the floor. You have, excuse me. Here are your options: Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, Quentin Post. Do it for you. Moses Moody, who's shooting 28% over the last month and a half.
Pods.
Look, this is he was inbounding, I believe. But look, here's the deal, and everybody's like, "Wow, why would you give it to?" Because and this is the state of the Golden State Warriors, and this is the reason they're 48, 34. Is why they're 48 and 34 and in the 7 seed and not 50 plus wins and in the 2 or 3 seed is because Buddy Hield was the best option. That's not a good. This is not me saying like they did the right thing, but if you're trying to just, hey, guy needs to catch and shoot it. Because if you catch it and wait, you're going to get fouled and you're going to the free throw line for 2, and we're going to keep doing that game.
Yep.
So it has to be, it's that action. They ran it with Clay all the time. And it's, all right, hey, Buddy Hield is the best guy to take this shot. But that is the problem with Golden State. Because they need Buddy Hield. And they can't use it. They can't play him.
Yeah, that's not good.
For reasons everybody here knows.
Yeah.
So you're running out at the end. We were talking about overtime. It's Draymond Green. It's Jimmy Butler. It's Gary Payton II for defense. It's Steph Curry. And then it's pick a 5th guy.
Where's Iguodala when you need him, man?
Buddy, I'm telling you. And so Draymond Green is not a shooter anybody respects or fears. He hit a couple yesterday, but he's not changing your spacing. Jimmy Butler is even a worse shooter. Gary Payton is in that same bucket. So it's Steph Curry with no spacing, nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Against a really good, rangy, athletic defensive team like the Clippers, who have so many bodies that they can just throw at Steph. Whether it's James Harden's a bigger body, not a great defender, but a bigger body. Chris Dunn is running around doing whatever Chris Dunn does defensively.
Yep.
Good defender, as you say, very physical. And then you can just, oh, hey, you want to throw a switch? Okay, hey, here's Kawhi.
Or here's Derek Jones Jr. Or here's Ben Simmons.
Right.
Ben Simmons, I mean, again, like we watched him play in Sacramento the other day. I didn't even realize he was on the court for at least like 6 minutes. But if you need a 6'10" guy that's rangy and can defend 5 positions.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's part of why the Clippers are dangerous. And that's why people were asking at the break, I go, we're not going to talk about Golden State. Like, we can. The Clippers were the story yesterday, though.
Yeah.
Like, that to me was what really jumped out. Like, Steph started rolling, and it was like, oh, man, this might be it. And then they were just able to go, okay, we're taking that away. What else do you have? And that's been the Warriors' problem all year, is what else do you have is nothing. Jonathan Kuminga, who nobody on the team trusts. Did you see that video going around? It was a viral video of Jonathan Kuminga catches it. It gets swung up to him at like the top of the key. And Steph is open to his left. It's like, you got to catch, you got to swing it.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, he catches and he gets into his triple threat and he starts backing the defender down. It's like, and Steph's shoulders like slump and like, oh, I don't think they want him on the court. So that's a problem. Also, he can't shoot.
Mm-hmm.
They are a horribly flawed team where their title chances or any kind of run they're going to make is based entirely on, well, Draymond, Steph, and Jimmy Butler have been in like a lot of big games.
Yeah.
All right, maybe. But you watch yesterday and you go, man, Quentin Post a non-factor. Moses Moody was very good defensively. But offensively, not a huge factor. Gary Payton II has disappeared offensively after a really nice little run.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the firepower to keep up in the modern NBA. We talk about this with the Kings all the time. Like, you got to shoot threes, you got to make threes. It's like, all right, Pods is knocking down threes right now. Brandon Pajemski, okay, that's fine. You have Steph, who's still as good as anybody shooting the basketball. Okay, that's great. Outside of that, man, it's like, ugh.
I think it's interesting. 2 games in a row, they came down to a final possession with the other team having the ball. This is the Clippers. You know, they beat the Kings on a final possession where again, DeMar DeRozan, like we can get into why exactly DeMar DeRozan was taking that shot, but I'll tell you, like straight up, we asked DeMar DeRozan in the locker room. He said the play was ran for him. That was for him. And he said he made a mistake and he did not get fouled. He's like, I did not get fouled. I made a mistake. I went in a little too far inside where Zubats was.
Mhm.
He's like, I had nowhere to go.
Mhm.
And Zach was like, hey, like he kind of reiterated, he's like, yeah, the play was for him. It's like, he's our fourth quarter guy, and
Mhm.
he just got too close to the big.
Mhm.
And he's like, that happens sometimes. It was a good play by the defense, and he's like, it happens. But my point is that the Clippers found a way to beat two teams right at the end of the season when they needed those wins,
Mhm.
where teams like the Kings have not been able to figure out how to close that specific type of game.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the Kings, it's either a big time blowout or they lose. That's what it feels like. Most games, it's like either they beat a team handily by
Mhm.
10 or 12 or 15 or 20, or they lose.
Yeah.
There is no like super close game that I can remember this like signature win after win. There's a couple of
Ooh.
those that are losses.
When was the last, I know there's got to be one we're just overlooking. They beat the Suns by a bunch, beat Detroit by a bunch, beat Cleveland by a bunch. I'm saying by a bunch, like not one possession.
Yeah.
Blew out Portland. The Cavs game at home,
Okay.
123-119. Found a way to close that one out. That was impressive.
No, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, like a last possession. God, you're right. All of these wins are by double digits.
The Mavs in overtime, 129 to 128.
The DeMar DeRozan game winner.
Yeah. That was back on February 10th.
Man.
Yeah, so
yeah, other than that, you're right. They I'm looking at their wins right now. 42, 17, 10, 24, 18, 10, and the 4 against the Cavs at Golden 1. 21, 23, 7, 10. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, they
A
had
lot of
the
blowout wins.
2-point win over Minnesota back on
That was a very good
February
win.
3rd. But these are like super long ago.
Yeah, they haven't. You're right. They have not had a like grinded out, really tough last second victory in a long time.
Yeah,
Not
it's kind of weird. I mean, they do have losses like that.
Yes.
They have a couple of losses like the Pacers 111-109.
Yep.
Even the Wizards was 116-111. That's close. Their losses have been relatively close some of the time, but they haven't had like a really nice signature buzzer beater win in a while.
Yeah, since February, I guess.
Yeah.
That game against Dallas. That's crazy. That's kind of so with the playoffs and play-in brackets set, I feel good about my tiers in the West, where it's OKC 1, Clippers, Lakers 2, Houston, Golden State, Denver, Minnesota 3, Memphis 4, Sacramento, and Dallas 5. Feel good about those tiers. The East is weird, though, because I have not paid a ton of attention to the East because it's been Cleveland and Boston running away with it. And frankly, I think it's going to be one of those two teams representing the East in the finals. And if I had to bet money on it, I would bet Boston. I think Boston's going to turn it on in the playoffs in a way that we have not seen yet in the regular season. And I think they might steamroll some people where we get to the end of this and it's like, oh, like they were coasting.
Yeah.
They coasted to their 60 wins or however many they finished with. If I told you, hey, I'm from the future, hello, a third team comes out of the East, a different team than the Cavs or Celtics comes out of the East, who would you even pick? Like, that's where you can, I think OKC is going to come out of the West, but you could talk me into the Lakers. You could talk me into the Clippers. You could talk me into Denver or Minnesota or Golden State or Houston. You could like talk like, okay, fine, I guess. In the East, I don't think you could talk me into anybody besides the Cavs or Celtics.
No, I don't think there's any way that's not who represents. I mean, it would take.
I'd be stunned.
I mean, I guess the Knicks could get on a roll, but I still don't love them.
The Pacers
Nope.
made the conference finals last year. You know, the Pacers won 50.
Yeah.
A good team.
Well, that's second round matchup with the Cavs.
I think Milwaukee I think Milwaukee is the team that if you said, hey, for sure, a different team, and that would be solely like, okay, I'm just going to bet on Giannis. I don't know what's happening with Dame Lillard, but man, Giannis is a force of nature who might just go average 38 and 15 and 10 and drag the Bucks to the finals.
Yeah, but they've been bouncing the first round the last 2 years.
I know. That's what I'm saying. If you're trying to realistically, it's like the Knicks can't play defense.
Yeah.
And they've been a little bit banged up. They're not super deep. Like I guess they have the players to maybe like ratchet it up defensively, where Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby and Josh Hart just kind of make a mess of things. And Karl Anthony Towns is averaging a double-double and Jalen Brunson's doing his thing, I guess. But I can't get there. The way I can get there, if you told me the Lakers make it out of the West, I'd be like, okay, like, yeah, that makes sense. Clippers made it out of the West. Okay, sure. There's nobody in the East.
I don't think, like, if you said make it out of the West, I think there's one team that we can circle and I'm almost going to guarantee will make it out of the West. Like, I think all these other teams we can see making it to the Western Conference Finals. But I don't see any of those teams beating OKC.
Yeah, I don't think I do either, which is why they're by themselves in my tiers that I made up. If anybody wants to borrow that bit, they can. But no, I'm saying if you told me a different team than the Thunder came out of the West, I'd be like, okay, sure. Yeah, Lakers, Clippers, maybe the Nuggets. Okay, yeah, I'll buy it. I don't have that in the East. I don't feel that way at all about any of those teams. It feels like Formula One. In Formula One, there's like the top 3 teams, top 2 or 3 teams that are vying for the championship. And then there's like everybody else. There's like that second tier and everybody's vying because the money's so much different if you finish, 4th versus 7th.
Well, they can win a race, but they're not going to win the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's like these, and that's what everybody else in the East feels like they're playing for, feeling good about next year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's almost where I'm at with the Kings. Like, man, the better you play here in the play, because I don't think they're going to make a run, but hey, maybe you win a couple of play-in games and you go and you give OKC 6 games. And now all of a sudden there's stuff we're pulling out of that run and going, oh, okay, hey, here's some reason for optimism next year.
Yeah.
I think that's what everybody in the East is doing who's not Boston or Cleveland. Everybody's just like, hey, what does next year look like?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of teams too that are just shocked that they're there. Like I don't like the Bulls, the Heat.
Oh,
like
yeah,
even the Hawks. The Hawks, were a seller at the deadline.
What a weird team. The Hawks finished with the same record as the Kings.
Yeah, it's almost like inadvertent that they've played this well.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that they've tried to be bad, but when they get into a season, you're like, okay, well, we lost Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson. Sorry. Yeah. So many of the JJ names.
Yeah.
You lost him and you're like, okay, probably going to take a step back. They traded DeAndre Hunter at the deadline. Like, okay, they traded Bogdan Bogdanovic.
Yep.
Like, okay, let's go ahead and just kind of pare down a little bit here. And then all of a sudden they start winning. And, they don't have their pick. They have the Kings pick, but not their own. Their own is in San Antonio. And we all thought that would be like a lottery pick. And it's possible it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went 13-9 starting in March.
Oh, okay.
So they went 4 games over, figured it out. Kind of wild, actually.
That's very similar to the run the Kings went on right before the bubble. The Kings, they made the switch with Bogdan going in the starting lineup and Buddy going to the bench. And they finished, I think, 13-7. And then the pandemic hit. They were on a roll.
Yeah. We've talked about this a little bit before, but again, now that it's set, the juxtaposition between the East and the West play-ins is so funny. Because in the West, it feels like whoever wins the 7-8 game between Golden State and Memphis is going to have a really good shot against Houston in the 7-2 matchup. And from there, who knows, right? From there, it's like, oh, man, all right, now you're in the second round. In the East, it feels like the Magic and Hawks are playing to get throttled by the Celtics.
Oh, yeah.
And then the winner of that game, or the loser of that game, will play the winner of Bulls Heat, and they'll play for the right to get throttled by the Cavs.
Yeah, that's not good. Although I do think
it feels like all the formality.
Whoever does represent the West as the 8, I
Mhm.
don't care. I don't care if it's Memphis. I don't care if it's Golden State, if it's the Kings, or if it's Dallas. That's probably a 4-1 series.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, gentleman sweep or sweep.
Yeah. Have we talked about my pet peeve about gentleman sweep yet?
No,
I don't believe so.
Okay.
maybe we have last
I
year.
feel like we did this last year, but I'm going to do it again real quick. This is called vamping. A gentleman's sweep is very clearly defined as team A goes up 3-0. Team B wins game 4.
Mhm.
Team A wins game 5. That is a gentleman's sweep. That is we're going to sweep you. Oh no, we're going to be gentlemen. You may have a game. Okay.
At
now
home.
we're finishing the series.
Mhm.
That is the gentleman's sweep. A gentleman's sweep is not, hey, we split the first 2 games and then I won the next 3. That is just you won in 5.
Mhm.
Very different. Game 1-5, the gentleman's sweep. No, it wasn't. 2-1 series.
A gentleman sweep, literally, there's like a hat tip involved.
Yes.
Like, hey,
yeah.
game 4.
Yeah. You have this one. We're up 3-0. We're chilling. You may win this one. Okay. Now game 5 we got. It's a very clear thing. Not just any 5-game series. There's a definition to it.
That's right.
Whew. Oh, I'm going to get so mad. I'm going to compile tweets because there's going to be a few 5-game series and people are going to call it a gentleman's sweep when it's not.
Keep the receipts.
I'm keeping receipts. You watch your asses.
Random thing.
So dumb.
This is random to be angry about.
We're the Insiders, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. We're back in a second on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports. There's an earthquake in SoCal? Earthquake Twitter assemble. Hey, did you know Victor Wembanyama?
What? Wait.
Did you know Victor Wembanyama still led the NBA in blocks?
What? Total blocks?
I think so.
Did you know that Keon Ellis had more blocks than Domantas Sabonis? Finished the season with 63?
Well,
Just saying.
yeah. Okay. Victor Wembanyama led the NBA in total blocks with 176. That is 28 more than Brook Lopez, who is in second place, and Giannis played 34 fewer games.
Oh, man. This is crazy. I'm looking at Keon Ellis's final stats. Shot 48.
Dude, he is a nightmare defensively.
48.9% from the field, 43.3% from 3 on 4 attempts a game. He shot 84.9 from the free throw line and averaged 8.3 points, 1.5 steals, 0.8 blocks on the season.
Wow.
Yeah. What did Keegan shoot from 3 on the season? What was the final tally? Keegan
Murray.
12.4, 6.7 rebounds, 44.4 from the field, 34.3 from 3.
Yeah, what did Doug McDermott finish? Good question.
From 3?
Yeah.
I have that right here. 43.6 on 2.4 attempts per game.
Got a clip.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Yeah, that's us. James Sam's there. I'm Kyle. That's Joe. I was doing some NFL draft stuff this morning. NinersWire.com is the website that I write for. Candlestick Chronicles is the podcast that I host with Chris Biederman of the Sacramento Bee. I was doing some draft stuff this morning, and there's an edge rusher from Georgia named Mykel Williams. And I watched Mykel Williams a while ago because he's one of the top edge rushers in the class. I watched him a while ago, and I was like, I don't see it. Like, I'm not a fan. His testing numbers weren't great. Like, the measurables are fine, but like the testing numbers weren't great. You watch him, and you're just like like not like he's a bad player, but not, oh man, I'm falling over myself to pick this guy 11th. So it's just kind of like whatever on him, right? But then I saw he met with the Niners, and I saw some people that I trust being like, hey man, Mykel Williams and blah blah blah, he's really good. So I was like, let me go watch again. So I was doing some more work on him today, and I got the ick watching him play.
Oh no.
You know, you get the ick with someone like when you're dating them. It usually happens where I have not really ever gotten the ick about somebody. People have gotten the ick from me though.
Okay, so
you know what I'm saying? And it can be anything, right? It can be like there's whole like Reddit threads about this.
Oh yeah.
Like he wore bowling shoes.
Yeah, he's too good at bowling.
Right, too good at bowling.
This is a very real thing. Or it could be something reasonable, like he was mean to a waiter. Normally it's not reasonable things though.
Exactly. And that's fine. I'm not dragging anybody for this. Like if somebody just does a thing where you're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like that's fine. Watching Mykel Williams chase running backs going to the edge gave me the ick. Because he plays so tall, and the way he lumbers around, the way he moves like a football player in a movie that's not about football. Like there's just a scene with football in it in the movie, but it's not a football movie. That's how he kind of moves to me. And I just, he played last year on a high ankle sprain, so maybe that's what it is. But man, I was just not a fan of the way he moves. And then you look, his production's not great. You go look at the athletic testing numbers again, and they're not like jump off the page like, oh my God, you need to draft that guy. I'm just kind of out. And then it dawned on me while I was thinking about this just now, where the 49ers are picking at 11th in this draft really gives me the vibe of any team picking in the lottery of last year's NBA draft. Where you're like, and again, we know more about the guys now that we've seen them play in the NBA, but if we go back to last year's draft, you just didn't feel great about any of the players you were taking.
Nope.
Like, you could take a guy and go, okay, well, he kind of fits, and you see where, okay, he could maybe be a stretch 5, but he's got a lot of development to do, or he's got this problem, or he's got that problem. There's all these things where you can talk yourself out of or into almost any prospect in the lottery last year. That's how I feel about the number 11 pick with the Niners. There are no players who are projected to fall outside the top 10. If a really good player from that goes in the top 10 falls, okay, this is a different conversation. But when you look at the players widely projected to go in the top 10, there's nobody that gets to 11 where I'm like, dude, you gotta get that guy. Just like,
So it's like a 10-man draft?
It's probably not even that.
Yeah.
It's just with the way, because I feel like more in the NFL than in the NBA, like quarterbacks. Cam Ward, the quarterback from the University of Miami, who's projected to go number 1 to the Tennessee Titans. Mm-hmm. It's like kind of a draft starts at 2 deal with that, right? If it was just you go look at people's big boards, he is not number 1 on anybody's board. But quarterbacks, the importance is so outsized that can shift an entire way a team drafts. Where you've got Shedeur Sanders, who's like in the 20s of a lot of big boards, late teens, early 20s, where he might go number 2 overall.
Oh yeah.
Like that. So the calculus shifts a little bit, but when you start getting into the players who the 49ers could conceivably take, who fit what they need, who might fall out of the top 10, there's not a lot of dudes. There's not a lot of players. So I think the Niners are going to run into a spot where trading back is the move. If you can find a partner to trade back, awesome. If not, you're going to be stuck taking a player that you're probably not like super excited about. It's a player that you're just like, I guess, like, sure.
Well, I think the biggest thing about the NFL versus the NBA is that there's so many positions of need for the 49ers. So, you know, again, it might not be like the sexy pick, but if you could find a young offensive tackle at number 2, or a young defensive tackle, or a defensive end at number 2, or a guard at number 11.
Right.
All of those would make sense for the 49ers, and they're not going to be a splashy pick. And you probably can get a higher end, flashier player like defensive back at that position. But it's also probably what the right thing is to do. I mean, maybe moving back is the right thing. Maybe being able to get an extra 3rd round pick and maybe an extra offensive lineman.
That's the big deal of moving back. Is okay, you can still get because that's I've always been a big proponent of, if there's a guy you want, just take him. Just who cares if, like, oh, he's not projected to go until 16. Who cares? Like, but in this year's draft, when you start talking about Michael Williams, Shamar Stewart, the defensive end from Texas A&M, who's literally the most athletic defensive end who's ever tested at the combine. There's Kenneth Grant from Michigan. There's Mike Green from Marshall, a defensive end. Kenneth Grant's a defensive tackle. Like, I could list 10 names here who all play on the defensive line, who all are like, yeah, they could go between 11 and 32 and maybe even sneak into the 2nd round. And they're all just kind of that same range, that same caliber of player. My guy Donovan Ezeraku, of course, where I think the value would be worth it if there's not a player that they're going like, Tyler Warren is the tight end from Penn State is a name that has come up a lot, where it's like, man, if he gets to 11, if he's just the best guy, sure, just take him. Right. But if you're not feeling great, if it's what we just talked about with the 11th pick and you're going, I guess like we're not really super excited about any of these guys, where you can trade back 4 or 5 spots, 6 spots, and have a guy that you're equally excited about in that range, plus doing what you said, picking up an extra 3rd, picking up an extra 4th, whatever it is to move back, and giving yourself another dart to throw at the board in a draft where you need to find some players. I think that has to be the move. It makes the most sense. And so at that point, you're rooting for, okay, does Shedeur Sanders drop out of the top 10, where now somebody might trade up to get him? Tet McMillan, the wide receiver from the University of Arizona, has meetings with like every team.
Yeah.
Super popular player. Consensus best wide receiver in the class. If he drops out of that top 10, can you get somebody to trade ahead of Dallas because he's been connected to Dallas a lot? If Ashton Genty, the running back from Boise State, unbelievable runner-up in the Heisman, if he falls out of the top 10, I don't think he will. But if he does, will a team trade up? Like, these are the things that you need to be watching for, because you may ultimately get to 11 and every team feels about your spot the way you do. And that's why it feels like last year's NBA draft to me, where you're going, how many draft prospects did we talk about for the Kings?
Not that many. 2, 3.
Every single one of them was like,
it was like Dalton Connect, or Devin Carter. We talked about him.
Like, sure. Who's the kid? Ron Holland. Like, yeah, he's young. Would you be like that excited? He can't really shoot. Like,
yeah, but he ended up going number 5.
Right. I just mean going into there was nobody that we went, that guy's going to be there for the Kings and they have to take him.
Well, and I also, when I look at the last year's NBA draft, very specifically, like, your team is so different today than it was then.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like, the whole best player available versus fit, it's always such a difficult challenge, right?
Mhm.
So you take Devin Carter because you're looking at best player available type stuff, and there's probably and you passed on some guys because they didn't fit,
Mhm.
right? So again, if you look at the Kings roster this summer, a Jared McCain or some of these other like shooting guards or combo guards off the bench,
Mhm.
they didn't make any sense because you had Malik Monk,
Mhm.
right? Well, now they make a lot more sense.
Sure.
And not because Malik's hurt, but because Malik went into starting lineup for a bunch of time. If you would have had another person to backfill what Malik brought, Malik Monk probably would have stayed at the starter.
Mhm.
But, with the change and
Sure,
the
sure,
trade
sure.
and all that stuff, and Keelan Ellis just making more sense, I think that's why it's always a danger. Like,
Mhm.
draft the best player.
Yeah.
Now, I can't draft a best player if I've got 5 centers on the roster already. I can't bring in another
Sure.
center.
Sure.
But most of the other positions on the court, you can. And for me, like again, this was a very, very weird NBA draft.
Mhm.
And you're right. Like there's no one in that range. Even, everyone talks about how good Dalton Connect is. Dalton Connect averaged 9.1 points per game.
He had moments.
He did. He
He
had
was not
moments.
like a slam dunk. I don't even know
Yeah.
if he'll be on an all-rookie team.
Yeah, the guy who is really good is the Sacramento kid, Jared McCain, who,
Mhm.
averaged 15.3 points per game, but got hurt
Right.
and only played 23 games. Outside of that, you're looking at like Bub Carrington was the next pick and averaged 9.8 points, and Khalil Ware, you might like,
Good player.
yeah, you might
Mhm.
be intrigued by that. But again, now your center position's all filled up for the next couple of years. I just don't know that there was like a knockdown. You should have drafted this guy. What the Kings should have done is what they tried to do is trade the pick,
Mhm.
and then that didn't work out, and they were on the clock and made the pick they did.
Yeah.
So
I think if you mentioned this with the 49ers in relation to this year's NFL draft. You mentioned, best player available, and they have more than one. Like defensive line is their number one need, but I do think if there's a player they can't, if there's just a game changing player, like man, this guy's got all pro potential, the position shouldn't ever matter
I agree.
unless you have a quarterback and this great quarterback falls to you and you're really excited about him, then maybe you don't do that. Maybe then you look for a trade. But anything else, like you mentioned, offensive tackle, yep, you could use an upgrade at the starting spot. You need a long-term replacement for Trent Williams in there. You can use wide receivers. You can use a tight end. You could use a running back, a linebacker. Like they need a starter almost anywhere.
Mhm.
They need upgrades at a lot of spots. So that is where I've been looking. I've been leaning hard toward the defensive line. But if it's Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan, like they have a cornerback spot, and if he's clearly the best player, just get him in the building. Get good players in the building. I think that gets overlooked, regardless of what the draft is. And like you said, if you've got Domantas Sabonis and Jonas Valanciunas, and you're like, man, we could draft this rookie center, but I don't know if he's going to really play. That's one thing. But outside of that, get good players in your building, man. That has to just be the number one, whether it's the 49ers this year or the Kings this year or the next year. It just we get so caught up in the minutia, I think, of the various drafts.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's projected to do this. This guy measured in at that. This guy had these testing numbers, that we kind of get outside of, can the guy play? Cool. We'll take the guy who can play and figure it out. I'd rather have to figure it out with good players, with too many good players, than figuring it out because, like, hey, this draft pick that we thought we needed, we whiffed on him and we passed on 3 guys who are really good for their teams at their respective positions.
Okay, so here's the litmus test for you. What if Ashton Genty falls?
I'm immediately making calls to trade.
Because you think someone else will jump up to take him, but you wouldn't take him?
No.
Okay.
No, and that's more of a, like, that's a value thing, where I don't hate the idea of the Niners drafting a running back, and like if they drafted Ashton Genty, I wouldn't drag them for it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, he's a good player, but it's then why did you just pay Christian McCaffrey again if you were going to be drafting a running back in the first round?
Well, yeah, but then he got hurt. You paid him and then he missed
no doubt
almost the whole season.
No doubt. You just drafted Isaac Garendo, who you apparently feel good enough about that you're trading Jordan Mason.
Mhm.
I think that you can be a more effective team if you hit the right player in the first round and then find another running back in day 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But to your point, maybe Genty is just that much better than every other player. Apparently, there's a really deep running back class.
Yeah.
So maybe Genty is just that much better than everyone else. And you're like, man, game-changing player. 2 running back stuff we can do with him and McCaffrey, and you feel awesome about it. And when McCaffrey's out, he's in. Sure. But that's the one place where the positional value, I think, comes up for me.
Yeah, I'm all in if they want to take Scatabo in like the 3rd round.
I guess he's a weird projection.
Yeah.
Very, very weird projection for the NFL.
Yeah, I totally agree. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind having
Stingers up,
a
dude.
deal like that.
Yeah, why not? Let's get out to the Oak Grove Kia talk line, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Let's get to our guy Mitch in New Jersey. Wants to talk Niners. Mitch, what's up, man?
How you doing, Kyle? James, what's happening?
Doing great.
Hey, before I get to my football, is there a chance that the Kings will be in the lottery and they can draft Ace Bailey, 6'10", from Rutgers, guard, he says? To me, it just writes itself. Ace, Kings, come on. How can you miss it? It just writes itself. Hey, I'd love to see 49ers get the best defensive lineman. I know they'll probably go offensive lineman. You mentioned cornerbacks. So are you talking about best player? How about Jackson Dart? He's not getting enough love here. I think Jackson Dart is going to be a good quarterback.
Thanks, Mitch. I think Jackson Dart has gotten the exact right amount of love on this show.
Well, you have your quarterback. You're not gonna.
You're not taking. If Jackson Dart falls to the 4th round and the Niners are like, yeah, hey, we like this guy. Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to fall that far though. I think Jackson Dart's going to wind up going in the 1st round, but I don't think that's something the 49ers are going to do.
Yeah.
Who was the other player he said? He said
Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey's going in the top 3.
Yeah, if they win the lottery, sure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, heck yeah. If you can get, 6'10", 200 pound small forward. Yeah, I'm in.
While we're on the Kings topic, let's get to who is this? This is Joe.
Joe from Elk Grove.
Oh, Joe in Elk Grove, of course. Why would we not get to Joe in Elk Grove? Go ahead, Joe. Joe,
you there?
Hey, Joe.
Oh,
he's gone. Gone.
How long did he wait? Maybe he
Long
was just
time.
on hold and just wandering around aimlessly.
Oh, hate
All
to
right.
see it.
Sorry, Joe.
Tough. I think Joe was being mean to me on the internet yesterday.
Oh?
Yeah. I was excited to talk to him.
Oh.
Okay. And not me, guys. Please, let's separate the Joes here.
Oh. Yeah.
Not Joe. Yeah.
Joe from Elk Grove.
If
not
you,
Joe from
if
Brazil.
you, if I ever did something to you that made you be mean to me, I would be really upset.
Yeah.
I'd be really bummed out about it.
No, that'll never happen.
I'd be
I
so
promise.
sad. If Joe Brazil was mad at me, I'd be really sad.
I
don't think
get-
I've ever had a person so quickly jump into the bucket of people. It's like Jason Ross is in this bucket. A couple people I worked with at Seth, our engineer here.
Oh, absolutely.
Tim Jordan, who works at 95.7, works at our Odyssey cluster in San Francisco, and Joe Brazil. Atop the list of people,
that
if
is
they were ever
amazing.
mad at me, I'd be really bummed out.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyways, Niners in a weird spot in the draft. Very, very weird spot.
Mm-hmm.
In a crucial draft where you got to hit a home run. You got to do it right. And at 11, it's like, I guess. And I have got the ick from Michael Williams. That was the point of all that.
No.
James is there. I'm Kyle. That's Joe. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. The handoff coming out. Is it real? Oh my God.
It's going fast today.
Yeah. Show's flying by. The handoff coming up next. One of D-Lo or KC will be in here. We'll talk more NBA playoffs with you on ESPN 1320 Sacramento Sports Center. Yeah, I posted this graphic that I saw on Facebook. I'm on Facebook still. Sorry, guys. And I posted it because I thought it was funny. And was it Joe or Frank? Joe got really mad at me that the Kings weren't in the graphic. And I'm like, my brother in Christ, I
Oh,
did
okay,
not
I see
make
what's
this.
going on. Yeah.
I'm posting it because it's funny because Anthony Edwards is piggybacking on Rudy Gobert. That was the funny to me. And he got very upset that I did not include the Kings.
I think
And he said I hate the Kings
The
because
thing
I
ab-
didn't include them in this graphic that I didn't make.
Okay.
It'd be like that sometimes.
the thing about Facebook is a lot of the people on there will just assume you are the original creator of whatever you're posting.
I posted this on Twitter.
Oh, this is on
I
Twitter.
said I found this on Facebook.
Oh, and you found it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then I started replying, and I was like, "Hey,
I'm gonna go scope this situation out.
Don't shoot the messenger, dog." And then he replied to it again, like, "Oh, can't say anything." Like, well, I was like, "I replied to," so he just got muted. That was weird. Well, same. This is facts. I hope D'Lo is in here today, so we're gonna ask about the action figure.
Which action figure?
Got an action figure made. That AI thing.
Oh, okay. Did you see somebody made those?
He's wearing shorts with black shoes.
Oh no.
Two things that Damian would not do. Look at Damian's shoe closet. All the shoes are white.
He would wear pants that come like mid calf.
Yeah, you got to show off the shoes, but shorts like above the knee, no chance.
Yeah. Me, I wear shorts all the time.
Yeah, same. I'm wearing shorts today.
Yeah.
You get a tattoo on your thigh, you start wearing a lot of shorts.
Oh.
I'm joking. That's not what happened at all.
Somebody made these.
Oh, that is, hang on. Zoom in on the face. That's Ron Howard.
That's funny.
No, it's
And
somebody.
And then Brendan.
Okay. Wow. Amazing.
Sean.
Hell yeah. Shorts gang.
Running shorts.
We're at that really fun time of year where when I leave my house, I need like a hoodie. But by the time I get out of the studio, I will no longer need a hoodie.
Oh yeah.
Good time of year. Also, our chargers still don't work. Our car chargers in the parking lot.
What?
Yeah.
Have you filed a complaint?
Several. I have written so many emails. I emailed Seth to email the building manager to email them.
Oh.
So somebody of consequence, because I'm just some a-hole who's like, oh, hey, excuse me, this car charger.
I need this escalated immediately.
Yeah, like, who am I? So I thought maybe Seth could hit the building manager, and the building manager, she is an important person. So I thought maybe still nothing, still no dice. Luckily, I can charge at home.
You can get home and
What
here
a
and back,
great
right?
show. Oh, yeah. A couple times. The studio is a very good show.
And brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
He's James. I'm Kyle. That's Joe. I got the handoff. One of D'Lo or Casey will be in here in just a couple of minutes. Putting the sports stuff aside for just a moment, I texted you about this last night, and I just texted you a title I did not actually explain. But Joe, I was talking to Joe Brazil about this earlier, not Joe from Elk Grove. It is a documentary on Netflix called Gold and Greed, The Hunt for Fenn's Treasure. It is an unbelievable 3-part documentary that nothing like, I don't want to oversell it.
Okay.
It's just a really quality documentary full of people that like I'm rooting against and also feel bad for.
Uh-huh.
It is so good.
You don't need a kicker in a documentary. If it's a good documentary, it's
just
a good documentary.
That's it. It's just a great doc.
But we got to this point, especially with Netflix, where like at least one of the episodes, if there are 3, is dedicated to fake internet sleuths who think that they figured it out, and then they go away from that and they never come back to it.
Okay.
And you're like, oh, those people are wrong.
Are you talking about the murder at the hotel in LA?
Well, yeah, but that's
a
like
murder?
one of like
Right.
8
Okay.
different ones.
Right. I forget what that one was called. But anyways, no, this is the internet sleuthing is the whole thing.
Oh,
And it's people, it's this guy, Frederick Fenn, I think his name was,
okay.
who hid this treasure and then wrote a poem. And in the poem, there were 9 clues. You had to find the clues in order to find this treasure. And then he started going on the Today Show and he started doing all this stuff and people, and it's about these people like trying to discern like, okay, are we dissecting everything he says? Are we taking it at face value? Like, what is he? And like the rabbit hole that these various groups of treasure hunters like fell down trying to find this guy's treasure.
Oh, okay.
It is really, really fun. It's a good doc. Really good doc.
Sounds like Ready Player One.
I've not seen that.
You've never seen the movie, or the book is incredible.
I've never
Ready
seen
Player
or I know of the movie. I've never seen it. And I've definitely never read the book.
Oh, the book is incredible.
I shouldn't say that. I read more than I used to, but I've not read that book yet.
That would be a great summer read for you.
Okay, good to know.
Easy to read.
Ready Player One. I'm taking a note of that because I literally, I'm reading the Silo. So Silo, the show on Apple TV.
Yep.
We're reading the series right now. My wife and I are, but she has other books that she's still finishing, and so I'm way ahead. So I had to stop reading that, and so now I'm just collecting other things to read. So that'll be on my list for sure. I waffle between reading fiction and nonfiction. And I'm on a fiction kick right now. I'm currently reading Matt Barrow's book, Muddy the Water.
Oh,
yeah, it's very good.
Okay.
Very, very good. Not just saying that to gas up Matt. I wouldn't have brought it up if I didn't like the book. I'm very much enjoying the book, Muddy the Water by Matt Barrows and his sister.
Okay.
I don't want to butcher her name, and I can't remember her name. So, yeah. Anyways, that's where we're at. Jake Gaden asked me this question last night. And he asked me a question about Sutter Health Park and kind of how it's playing. Because the numbers, and it feels like the runs scored are just crazy. On a game-to-game basis, one team is going to score a lot of runs. The A's got shut out 8-0 against the Mets yesterday. I don't think it's the ballpark. I kind of think it's just the A's. I kind of think this is just what we're in for, whether the A's are playing at Sutter Health Park or Oracle Park or Yankee Stadium or anywhere. I think they're a pitching staff that's going to give up quite a few home runs. Their bullpen is not strong. Luis Severino was really good yesterday, and then the bullpen just wheels fell off. And I think they've got a lot of hitters who are going to hit a lot of home runs. And so I think what we're going to run into is this is just the A's. This is what they were last year. Called them a slow pitch softball team. I think that's what they're going to be this year.
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake they made this offseason, I think they did a nice job of building out the pitching staff, the starters.
Sure.
And so far, they've been pretty solid. I think JP Sears has been really good. Severino's had some nice starts. They got a great start out again the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like what they did there. But they spent zero money on their bullpen. And that's a problem. And you can't just think that you're going to throw out a bunch of retreads and hope that it works, because it's not working at all. And those guys are just killing them, absolutely killing them. So, yeah, how many quality starts have they already blown because their bullpen can't hold the lead at all?
Get outs, man.
No,
there's not a single Mason Miller. I feel good about Mason Miller being on the bump.
He's incredible.
But how do they get to him?
Yeah,
there are zero pitchers on their pitching staff that I feel good about. When they come into the game out of the bullpen.
No,
it's every game.
That's
like
if,
right, man, like Jose Leclerc, like, yeah, sure, whatever. He's probably their best reliever right now.
Oh, except for he's been horrible. He's the one who gave up like 6 runs in the first week.
So bad.
Yeah, I mean, like it feels like they got a bunch of live arms, but didn't go out and get the guys who get ground ball outs.
Yeah,
so and if you're going to play in a smaller park, you're going to pay for that.
Yep. Yeah. It's different than it would be in Oakland for sure, just because of the way that ballpark played and the marine layer and just how cold it could be and the ball didn't quite fly. So it's different in that respect, but I don't think Sutter Health Park is going to play substantially smaller than other parks this season. I think it's just, like I said, I think it's just the A's.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the nature of their team. They're going to give up a lot of home runs. They're going to hit a lot of home runs. And I don't think the ballpark's going to matter as much.
Okay.
So, anyways, it looks great. Sutter Health Park looks fantastic. Kenny Caraway in the building. D'Lo and KC. What do you?
So
what's happening there?
I want to make sure you didn't leave that because I wanted to ask you guys about the ballpark,
Mhm.
right? And obviously, like you talk about marine layer,
Mhm.
humidity, all that scientific stuff like that changes some stuff. But I think I heard Mark Cott say it's earlier in the week. They're like, yeah, we're playing in a small ballpark. And I look at the dimensions and they're relatively the same from everything.
It just looks like the ball is flying further
It do-
because it's not hitting seats.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true.
Like-
And there's no seats behind it either.
Right. Like when was it Rooker hit one to left that just disappeared into the night. And it's like, God, he must have hit that 600 feet. It's like, no, you hit that a normal distance. It just looks small because there's no seats sitting there to knock the ball down. So it just travels.
That Tatis home run the other day. Tatis,
Right.
that one was a bomb.
Right. Maybe that's the one I was thinking of.
At night and it hit the roof or something. Yeah,
yes. But it just it looks like the ballpark is small because there's nothing behind. I mean, there's the berm, there's the hill in right field. But in left field, in the power alleys, there's not like seats for the ball to hit. So it just looks like everything is so much more compact.
I think a small child got hit on the hill the other day. A home run by what was it? A 3-1 game. They won. I think it was 3-1 on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
And someone hit a shot to right field, and someone wasn't paying attention, and it hit. It looked like
you
a
gotta
baby.
Make a dude. That's brutal. That's so brutal. You got to make a play.
Yeah,
good call. I don't mean to be like this, but you gotta be aware.
You have to.
You gotta be aware.
You have to be aware
At a
all the
baseball
time.
game.
If you have a baby.
Oh no, it was a baby, and they're just hanging out on the grass. Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, the dimensions I've heard are identical to Oakland, the outfield fence.
Mhm.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, except for the foul grounds. So it is a smaller park, and hitters are going to see more pitches because so many more balls go into foul territory and out of play than they did in Oakland. So you're going to have to pitch more, and you're going to guys are going to have extra shots. Right. So I think that's why it's a little bit small, but I don't think this park is going to play like crazy home run ball like all season. And that's kind of the league, man.
That's what I'm saying is I don't think Sutter Health Park is going to be, we're not going to get to the end of the season and there's some outlier that Sutter Health Park, there were 40 more home runs hit there than anywhere else because of the dimension. I don't think it's going to play like that.
I don't think it's because of the dimensions, but I do think it's because of the air. It is going to be I think the ball's going to fly out.
Sure.
I think because even at night, you get to places like Dodger Stadium or obviously Oracle Park or even the Coliseum. At night, it played different because the air's a little heavier. It's a little cooler. Ain't gonna be no heavy air here in June.
No.
And I think it's gonna fly out of the ballpark, but not because of the dimensions. But it's something I want to talk about because it's so weird. You look at the one that always gets me is Colorado.
Mhm.
Colorado looks massive.
It's huge.
But it's about to say it's 330 down the line or whatever, but it doesn't look like that, right?
Yeah.
I think it's 415 the straightaway center.
Yeah,
but
it's a poke to get it out of there.
Yeah, it just I don't know. When I went to the game, the opening day game, I looked at it in the ballpark and it looked like a small ballpark, but all the dimensions are the same.
It's
just
definitely
there's no second deck either.
Right.
That changes just the feel and the wind.
It
like
100% looks small, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
Real quick before we go, does anybody hit it to the street? I don't know what street that is, but the same street Tower Bridge is on. Does anybody get it to the street?
I don't think so.
That's a bomb. That's a poke.
I don't know.
If Tatis didn't get to the street, I don't know.
That's it, dude. Like that's. I mean, you had to really tie into.
I think he hit his like 4. I thought it was 460 something.
Foul balls fly into the parking lot all the time.
Really?
A couple of times a game because there's not an extra
Yeah,
deck.
Right.
Yeah.
Man. What do you guys got coming up on D'Lo and KC?
Oh man, NBA regular season is done. Kings are in the play-in. They're taking on the Mavs at the Golden One Center. We'll get into all that. Plus, NBA is just crazy. NBA is just crazy. And we're gonna spend about 2 hours on Rory and the Masters. Not really.
Hey, a lot of golf coming up on D'Lo and KC. For James Hammond, Joe Brazil, and Kyle Madsen, we're the Insiders on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Back with you at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Right here. Until then, drink water. Be nice, people.